How y'all feel about Trump removing the MLK thing?
Oh, that
out the president. They said Donald Trump has removed Dr. Martin Luther King's bust from the Oval Office as the president continues to host a right-wing activist who labeled the Civil Rights Act of 1964 a huge mistake. The tribute to the iconic I Have a Dream speech maker that sat front and center during Barack Obama and Joe Biden's presidencies has been reshuffled to Trump's private dining room, according to Black Press USA. It comes as Trump, just days after an embarrassing humiliation, undoes the efforts of Biden's government and restores several more Army-based names that originally honored Confederate military figures, undoing the renaming process ordered by Congress.
He don't give a fuck. Somebody made a joke yesterday because he tweeted, I don't know if y'all saw that, like, man, we got too many holidays off, and American citizens, they want to go to work, like they want to get back. We're losing billions of dollars. And somebody quoted it like, this nigga just found out today was Juneteenth. Like he don't be giving a fuck about, in my opinion, of blacks. Like I don't think he cares.
Do you think he had a point with the civil rights stuff though?
Yeah, he got a point.
Of it being
for sure. That shit was terrible. We gave up all of our businesses for it. Before the civil rights, we all had black businesses. We had black ownership. We gave it up to integrate, and now you look around, how many black businesses do we got now? I'm not gonna say
it's terrible. I feel like the equal justice and equal opportunity part is cool for the civil rights movement.
Is it equal though?
That's that part.
What's really equal? The justice we know is not equal.
I understand.
The opportunities we know.
Because
the idle thought of having
they're selling you an idea, not a reality.
Exactly. That's what he's saying. Because when you have everything in your own sanction or just own city, say if it's a city full of black people, you have no room to complain about whether something is racist or something is this or not because it's your own people hiring you and firing you. So now you have no room to say what's equal. Like you're going to be in equal parts. Now you go to somewhere else where predominantly mixed or something else, and now you have the rights to make
but the
victim mentality could it stem from.
The thing about that though, we can still do that shit now. We don't need civil rights to say, oh, it took away from us. We can still operate like that with our mindset now. We used just to be like, man, you know what? I'm only going to spend my money with black dollars. We can still do that now. We don't need this made up law.
Sure,
that's
we
what
have
we're saying.
No black businesses.
There is nowhere to really spend your black dollars.
Again,
even if we go to
who's stopping us?
The civil rights was a big part of that. That's what we're saying.
I'm talking about right now. Though.
No, we understand, but we're playing catch up with what we already had. So let's say you get sick. We don't have no predominantly black hospital. We know we get the worst treatment. We know we get the worst treatment in the hospitals. Let's say you want to go to a black bank. We get the worst loans. And they insure the least amount of money. So that's why we really don't be putting our money in black banks. And where they at?
They don't have the capital.
They don't got the capital to back your shit.
They got like one or two.
And they got maybe one or two.
The thing is too though, like with civil rights, again, the reason why I don't go so hard on King is because I wasn't alive then. And I'm speaking from a place of 40, 50, 60 years ago where it's like.
He found out later too. Once he found out, this wasn't good for us, he did change his stance. It's not like he stood on that stand saying, "Hey, let's all hold hands with white folks."
He did
change it, and that's why they was mad at him.
This not what the question I wouldn't even ask y'all was about King. I was just saying, did y'all think Trump had a point of why he did what he did? It wasn't necessarily going hard on King. It was just the fact that Trump is basically saying the same thing bro just said. This wasn't what y'all thought it was.
But if my only critique of Trump doing that is, okay, cool, well then what are you gonna do for us?
Well, we can't ask nobody that's non-black to help us out. We got to help ourselves.
My thing is like you're telling us that this wasn't shit, and then you're not giving us any solution or any type of.
Well, a lot of the solutions he did give, black people said, "Nah, fuck you, we don't want it." You remember when Ice Cube came to everybody and said, "Hey, let's just listen and let's just look at what they're offering," and everybody said, "Oh, Cube, you sold out, fuck you." And he was offering blacks the most money out of any president ever.
You don't think him saying what he's saying is a form of trying to change your mind, your state of mind?
As far as what?
Nah, because if he's saying this wasn't, like we're having a conversation about revisiting and understanding, like you said, the civil rights wasn't what we thought it was going to be, or we had ideas about it. If he's telling you this wasn't really in your favor, he's actually trying to change your mind and understand, like, let that go. Depression. Like, yeah, not even just go back in depression, but let that idea of what you thought was something go. This ain't how y'all probably need to really be moving without saying too much in detail about it.
Okay. I mean, that's definitely a way to look at it. I just see it as like him just talking.
I think Trump really don't care. I think Trump don't really care. I think he's just saying.
Or is he doing exactly what they've been doing, as far as taking all the black history out of schools, trying to get rid of everything else that we know of learning about ourselves.
Well, that's what Tyler Perry said. Now he got a case.
Yeah.
So that's my thing. Hold on, with the civil rights movement is
That
like,
ain't Cuz lane, that's why.
Sit the gay nigga at him, cuz.
It's almost
that
like
ain't his lane. They're like, you trying to speak up, nigga? Fuck is you?
You trying to
doing?
teach knowledge?
Yeah, exactly. You trying to kick some knowledge, nigga?
it's almost like when we get a win, whether we look at civil rights as a win or not, at that point in time, some black people may have felt it was a win. Then at that point, it's white America's job to go, okay, how do we combat this? This nigga sitting down with presidents, he's talking, he's getting certain changes that even if we don't necessarily think now might have been a certain or a win, getting equal access to education and opportunities, that's something that they had to say, okay, how do we combat this now? So in a perfect world, without them being opposition, maybe it would have worked out better than what it did. But we still have to think about them going, okay, so now how do we oppose what he just did and rework it? Because that's what they do with all of our leaders.
Martin should have got on what Malcolm was on. If the mass movements they both had would have been stronger together.
Well, they did. They realized it, but it was a little too late.
That's
again,
all I'm
Malcolm
saying.
got man down. And
Well, they was fighting each other because even
they was fighting each other at first. But
at
again,
first.
once Malcolm went to Egypt and realized, okay, all white folks aren't like this. You know what I mean? It's the ones in America. Then he realized, okay, let me lower my stance. And then once Martin realized, like, okay, I led my people to the fire. I need to change my stance. Now let's make it about the money. What can you do financially for us? That's when they start disliking Martin. They teach us in school that Martin was all about peace. But a lot of people forget, like in 67, like right before he was about to die.
I remember he
you get what I'm saying?
But it is a conspiracy saying that Martin was actually a plant.
Yeah.
Like a psyop.
He was a part of them secret societies. He was a psyop. He got us to dumb ourselves down and give everything up. But somewhere along the way, his conscience start eating at him. He like, I fucked up. And that's when they're like, whoa, nigga, you took this oath. Bang, you out of here.
Saying
even
Martin,
that, I think
they saying Martin sold us out just to fuck white bitches.
Even
Yeah,
that,
that's what I heard. I had a dream. I could get some of this Snow White pussy.
Without going to
and
jail,
eat them
getting
white
hugged.
only pies, nigga.
Man, Martin's a man just like any other man. You away from home, you out and about, bro. You stressed out. Your life is getting threatened every day, nigga. Yeah, you gonna need something to ease that tension.
You
Bro.
think, but you think in them times you really I ain't gonna say think because they was doing that, but how much would you really care about fucking a white bitch when all the white people hated you at that time? Like,
it was probably some white woman lusting after him. Like, oh my
it probably
God.
was, but I wouldn't give a fuck about him.
I think that's even more of a smear campaign because it's like, how are you going to tell me that 3-letter organizations that called the Nation of Islam a national terror or labeled them a national terrorist threat, right? Who was following around Malcolm and surveilling the letters between Malcolm and Elijah before he even got out of prison, who had King's shit tapped, who went and killed Fred Hampton. Like, they did so much to suppress us, made COINTELPRO. How are you going to then tell me that you would believe that he was an informant or he was some made up opposition? I just feel like that's another trick out of their book to get us to not believe that people that were some of our leaders actually tried for us.
I don't know. They said Rosa Parks was a plant too.
And even if you look at the Rosa...
Hold on. She had a motherfucking car at home. Her husband had a car.
Let's talk about...
Rosa
she got on a
Parks,
bus for nothing.
The real Rosa Parks was a teen, but she was pregnant and didn't know the dad at the time. So they're like, this is a bad image. So they used Rosa Parks to be the face of that movement.
So
but really, it was a little girl who actually did what Rosa Parks did. So
my thing is this. For one, if we're trying to boycott, why does me having a car? This is what I'm saying about look at the semantics that they do. Oh, she had a car. If I'm trying to hit you where it hurts at this moment, a lot of black people take the bus. I'm doing this regardless of if I have a car or not. If somebody's 15 and pregnant, how are they going to lead a boycott? So to me, that's already that's washed away. These are things that they want us to focus on to get away from the efforts that our people put in.
Because if this person is the one who really did it, and then this person is a plant, why in the fuck would you want the plant to lead the movement?
Because the plant is a part of the NAACP at that point in time.
Which has been fucking niggas over since the inception.
I get that.
Which is why nobody supports that shit
She has the resources. She has the ability to reach out, the voice, the maturity, the knowledge, all of these things to be that person. And if something is going to happen, wouldn't you rather it happen to, and again, these are women, a 25, 30-year-old woman than a 17-year-old, 16-year-old woman?
I think it would have been more powerful to use that teen who was pregnant and got that treatment on that bus. I think that would have lit more fire in the niggas than Rosa Parks, who come to find out.
Because
you got a husband, you got a house, you got a car, you working with the NAACP. Like, no, niggas.
I agree because, like I said, if you use the let's say Ali, for example, if he didn't go through everything he went through and had that fire, even when he spoke, people felt everything that Ali was saying from his experience of it. You can't speak on something the same way and have the same passion as somebody who lived it versus somebody that's trying to play this role. Like no, what I'm saying is it hits harder. If I know somebody lived what I lived and they're in a better place, I'm predominantly going to take more from that person than somebody that's up here just talking because they put somebody in front of me.
How long did it take? Hold on. How long? And this is the thing with Martin. This is the thing with Fred Hampton, all these people. Rosa, how long does it take the FBI and the CIA and these 3-letter organizations to come out and then give us this information? 20, 30, 40, 50 years for them to say, hey, actually, you know, this was wrong. Don't believe it. She was, and again, how are you a plant if you're a part of an organization and you're just deciding to lead something? I feel like that's not a plant. That's not a plant at all, because it's not like she's trying to fake something.
I haven't seen the 3-letter organization saying this. There's been people from our communities.
Well, I was gonna say this, man. At this point, it's like sales and representative, bro. That little girl don't fit the brand. This lady, Rosa Parks, has the NCAA connection. That right there alone is going to get the people out there. It's not like we had social media back then. So she already had like the largest black group of supporters that's going to push the narrative, bro. So she's the reason why the boycott could get started. Then, if you want to say Martin's a plant, I mean, yeah, but they did it for a whole year. That's a whole year of everyone having to sacrifice.
So why do niggas debate these musicians and stuff like that when they don't live the lives they live? Why are they so scrutinized?
Because that's entertainment, not necessarily a social cause.
No, but they're able to have influence and push people to a certain perspective. It's not respected because you didn't live it. And people be mad when you find out this person wasn't who you thought they was.
You're talking about violence.
Let me say one thing. When you debate, why would it hit harder versus the person who actually lived through it? I'm not debating the other part about the plant stuff, but he said, why would you not use the person that actually sat in the back of the bus and went through that? When they tell their story, it's going to hit different. That's like somebody going through a tragic situation and you let somebody else come speak in the forefront and tell their story.
I don't think a teenage girl can sell her story like the way a grown woman who's educated can.
What do you mean? The Panthers were ran by teens. They were educating their early 19, early 20s. They weren't just grown, bro. They were literally going from
22 years old is different than 16 and pregnant. And being a woman, like even in, we're talking about the 60s, bro.
They was way more mature back then.
But the way women were looked at is completely different than now.
Would be equivalent to some of these late 20s today.
How old was it Tupac auntie or
his mama?
Afina?
No, it was the other one that went to prison. She's staying in like Cuba or something right now. I forget her name. She was hella young when she was going through all that stuff. I gotta look it up real quick.
Well, I know his mom was pregnant as well.
But I want to not even that she was just pregnant.
They were way more mature and had way more knowledge of self at younger ages then than now. And like you said, they used the NAACP. Okay, they could have got behind her as well because they knew that was the real person it happened to. But they wanted to control the narrative. So I'm gonna use Rosa to control the narrative the way we want to instead of getting it real raw and uncut. No, this is who it happened to.
I just think they've made a lot of black people believe that all those efforts were for nothing.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, does it matter though that we didn't give it to the little girl and we gave it to Rose? I mean, the point is,
what did they do?
What you mean?
I'm saying, what did it do? What did Martin's speeches do?
Martin's speeches,
did it do more good or bad?
It brought good to a certain
Did it do more good or bad?
It did good, bro.
It did more good?
It did more good.
So what was the more good it did for us?
So if you want to say more good, bro, at the end of the day, black kids are able to go to public schools.
Which is fucking them. We're getting taught by the enemy.
Let him finish. Let him finish.
Go ahead.
They're able to get a job anywhere. Again, not all of us live in a predominantly black area, bro. So you can't be discriminated from your job. Also as well, bro, if you want to go to an establishment that's non-black, again, you're not going to Fixins every fucking weekend. You want to go to an Ocean 48 or Steak 48. You don't want to be denied access because of your skin, bro. Off the rip. So what I'm saying is it gives you options to want to live life. Nigga, there's no black airlines. You're not catching a soul plane to go on your vacations, bro. We don't own that. So we will get denied a lot of stuff as black folks, homie, just off our skin color.
I don't even think it's just that short. It's just...
This the thing, though. The school Would you rather your kids be taught by the quote unquote opposition or people that come from your community? We just had this debate. No, because you weren't even here. We just had this debate on if it was cool for white people to adopt black kids, and you said fuck no. So now you saying by us assimilating with them and them controlling almost every aspect of our life from
CG,
from kids to adults, bro.
But not everybody's.
Now you saying that's good?
Listen, check this out. Not all areas has a high percentage of black people. So those real, like, say somebody living in Wyoming, some black folks in Wyoming. I don't think it's a high black per capita in Wyoming. You can't expect that black family to go out there and have the same success that's someone that's living in Atlanta, where it's a higher black per capita.
What I'm saying
anywhere you stay would only be your people.
But check this out as well. You look at predominantly black schools right now. You can look in Los Angeles in certain places.
Exactly.
Look at the books they have. Look at the classrooms. Look at the care that the teachers put into the curriculum, et cetera. Look at the graduation and dropout rate, right? These are things that we have dealt with for times. Even when we had all black schools and teachers, maybe we didn't have access to certain books.
We've never been alive where we are all black schools and teachers.
What I'm saying is,
when we went to school, it never was all. I probably had one black teacher and fucking.
But I'm saying,
hold on. No. When you say that, you have to also add in the details. Schools get funding from property tax. The biggest part of their funding comes from property tax. Then you go look at the laws about redlining, how they created projects for us where we don't even own property. Then you look at the schools that's next to that, and you understand why they don't have funding. They don't have programs. They can't pay good teachers. They don't have good books. You go, damn, where's the funding coming from? There's no property tax over here. But this is the fucking project.
So the point of the civil rights was to be able to say, then now you can cross the track and go to the school where that is not existent, giving you access to higher education, which then gives you a higher possibility of having a degree, which then gives you the possibility of joining the middle class, which is what happened. But then what happened was how to sell to a Negro. That's what ended up happening. And so then a lot of us came into the middle class, and then we got obsessed with consumerism. And that was a ploy from them. Exactly. So that's my whole point about
our own businesses. We had our own businesses before then. We already had our own property. We were already business minded. They tricked us into giving up everything we had, give up all the ownership, and just come integrate and get accepted, which we still didn't. They had to literally create laws that said you have to hire a certain number of us or your company gets in trouble. So half the black people who got jobs at these companies only have the job because of the fucking law that was put in place. We
still had banks. We still had programs for your kids to go if you had to work and things like that. And even to this day, you can't just go to any school. Even if you're in a public school system, you don't live in that area, they're not accepting you in another school.
They will if you're in that.
Special transfers are an exception, but for the most part of it, you ain't coming from Watts and then going to school in Orange County for a better education. They're going to look at your address and say, these are the schools your child can go.
If we're taking away sports and special scholarships, that may be true to a certain extent, but you have to be, again, if you're in the magnet program, they'll make an exception. You're an athlete, they'll make an exception. You have to be exceptional. And what I'm saying is, if you're an exceptional child that has a promising future, they will make an exception. And so, again, a lot of these kids from the inner cities are coming to these private schools that typically are what? White ran. Again, nobody's going to St. John Bosco. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because of the education. They're going for what? The football program, which so happens to put a lot of kids that are typically minorities into college.
It just goes back to
those are the small exceptions.
Where's that equality 1% that you're talking about then? If it's the exceptionals, then there is no equality.
But hold on,
we're still proving the point of still getting to the point of us being integrated with everybody else.
Well,
and you're still not equally.
I'm not saying you're able to go to a school that's a predominantly white school. It's a Catholic school.
But according to him, that's a bad thing.
Who?
You. You said white people adopting kids is a bad thing for black kids because they don't understand the culture. So why would you go to a predominantly white school being taught by predominantly white teachers be a good thing if being raised by them is a bad thing? Because they're essentially raising you. You're with your teachers more than you are your own parents.
Depends on what you're going to school for. So,
bro, regular school.
No, it
not regular. Regular elementary to high school.
I don't think
certain schools are like gifted for certain like programs. But I'm gonna say this: if we're just talking about regular schools, I do feel like black teachers, black faces in the school would definitely help because at that point, even with behavior issues, when you have a black man inside the classroom, those little kids that are acting up are not going to do that when they see a black man. You get what I'm saying? It's a certain level of respect of how we know how to talk to each other, how we treat each other. And it's just like an unwritten rule of if your kid is acting up, hey, bro, don't make me call your daddy. Or like, do I need to holler at you?
We have to start also looking at the demographics of who's applying for these things, like, and looking at the real statistics of how many black men are applying to be teachers.
No black men is applying to be teachers
because of there's a certain
enough money.
And I think there's a certain.
That's crazy.
They don't make enough money. No,
I think there's a certain stigma that, or a certain stress that maybe people don't want to deal with. But this goes back to my point.
But they don't make enough money. That's really, at the end of the day, we look up how much a teacher, they just went on strike a few years ago just to get this raise they have now. They don't make enough money compared in Los Angeles. LAUSD do not make enough money. They'll tell you that.
This goes back to my point of it's one man who had help. I'm not saying civil rights isn't flawed, but I'm not going to kill Dr. King because he did go outside and fight for whatever he thought at that point in time would lead us to something better. It's one dude at that particular time, he could not see 40, 50, 60, 70 years into the future where we're not even that long to where we are now to be able to say, hey, these things didn't work.
Cuz said he had a dream to see further than that.
I mean, come on, that's being...
So look, that's being... for LAUSD, the top annual salary...
I'm not disputing that. I'm not disputing that
number. The top annual salary is $62,668.
That's cool. That's
the top annual
what
salary.
We're saying is, though, you being a puppet, and maybe he didn't even know. And maybe you're right. Maybe he couldn't see. But the people who are the puppeteers, they could. Which is why we in this position now where you look up and you look at black ownership, it's almost non-existent.
So why didn't the black owners that were own businesses then speak up there and say, like, let's try to keep it in the community?
They were speaking up, but you know what happened? King had the dream, and then all y'all black asses said, I'm going to go eat the white-only pies. They stopped going to the black businesses. They're on record saying, why are you guys spending your money over there trying to gain acceptance, and I'm going out of fucking business?
If I see a sign right now and say, I don't want no blacks here,
but
what do I want to like be eager to go in there?
Niggas was fighting to go in there.
But hold on, again, this is why I'm saying, how can you blame King for saying, hey, now everybody's home?
I never was blaming King.
I'm not saying you are. I'm
saying the whole point.
Or how are you blaming civil rights now for people then saying, you know what, somewhere that I couldn't eat, now that I want to eat? They never told you, hey, don't go back to your favorite restaurant. Niggas did that. Now that niggas had the choice, niggas chose what they wanted to. And that says a lot about community and culture. So again, you can't blame one dude or a group of people who tried to fight for something and because now we're at a point where we can see, okay, it was flawed. I completely understand that.
If we're looking at you as the leader and your advice is, let's go over here and gain acceptance, yeah, we can kind of blame you. Because your advice should have been, hey, let's keep building and let's pass them.
I agree with you on that. But again, he could have been flawed. I mean, that's still a man. Listen, this is not God working on this earth, bro. This is a human being. We all make mistakes. I agree with you on that. We should have been sticking to our own and building ourselves up. Self-worth is everything. But again, we can't knock him for wanting equality for us all. I mean, at the end of the day, I think his main goal was for equality for us all in this country.
I don't think it was just go be with the white people and diminish. I don't think it was that. And I'm not alive at that point in time to really say that's what it was. I don't think it was that. I think he just wanted things to be equal. And then when that happened, whether we, because you could argue if it is or not, obviously, but that's when niggas started to make stupider decisions or the decisions they wanted to make.
What equal though?
He wanted us to be judged off the content of our character, not the color of our skin.
Yeah.
That was to sum it up.
And that's what I'm saying. So, and I think with equal opportunity, equal education, equal opportunities to jobs, healthcare, all these things that would have essentially opened up what civil rights acts
like you don't want to
that he would be thinking would open up. Then you have the loopholes though still of doctors not treating you a certain way, thinking you black, so you take more pain. Okay.
Or just being denied to an emergency room because it's a white-only hospital and your child may need an emergency.
How can you get denied if you have our own hospitals?
But you
can't
what I'm
get
saying.
denied.
No. What I'm saying. No. Take
so
the black
instead of building our own.
No. CG. I'm just saying. What if you're not by the black hospital? What if you're just traveling and this is the only hospital nearby?
I mean, how often is that really gonna happen?
It don't matter.
Because you probably not even gonna be on that side of town anyways.
It don't matter. It will happen though.
No, how often? Okay, we can say the same thing for the white people. Oh, what if they by the black hospital?
We not denying black us as we know this. We the most loving people on this earth, bro. We not go deny.
What I'm saying is most of our problems stem from us asking other people to give us things that we should be giving to ourselves. We go to this restaurant, we need this type of treatment. Yeah, but we don't own the fucking restaurant. And the people who own it don't like us. We go in these stores, we get followed around. Guess what? If we had our own fucking stores, we wouldn't have to be getting followed around.
So why don't we have our own stores now? Because you know why? Our customer service is trash as black people.
That's not the only reason.
This nigga crazy.
I'm telling you, bro. Nigga, how many times have you been to any type of store where it's typically black
I don't
owned?
think
We
it's
complain
just that.
about the wait time.
It's way deeper than
Yeah,
customer
it's deeper
service.
than that.
I done went to white restaurants.
It's deeper than
I done
that.
been to white owned stores.
Treat you
Customer
like
service
shit,
was
yeah.
trash. Treat you like
Everywhere.
shit. So it ain't a color thing. That's an individual person thing.
All right. So again, why are we not promoting entrepreneurship in our community and sticking with it? Because we want to be close to what we want to
I'm
be.
not saying
Niggas
viral's
is-
doing this.
I
I'm not
know.
saying viral's doing this, but I think a lot of black people, you have the older generation that's hung up on civil rights looking at it in some fantasy fanatic way. And you have black Americans who are upset with where we are right now. And they want to just continue to blame that instead of provide new solutions. And I feel like that's where we are right now as a culture.
So what should we do
Everybody's
moving
still
forward
looking
right now?
back. Everybody's still looking back. and
What's the
blaming.
solution right now?
I think the solution is to try to work on credit, get access to better education, try to get more teachers involved, maybe do some workshops with black teachers to say, hey, let's get more black teachers in these schools. Let's get more black nurses. Let's get more black doctors. But to do those things, you got to go to school. You got to do certain things
Can I add something to that? I think churches need to start opening back up to having workshops at churches, mosques, or to whatever religion that is. They need to make that a workshop where they can have sources where people can create their own job, whether it's working on cars. Like, you know what I'm saying? Remember back in the day, these had those trades in public school? We need to have that in our place of worship. If everybody's giving their money to the church should be giving back, having like an outlet area where they are teaching trades so they can go out and be entrepreneurs.
And I don't have all the answers, but I feel like we can move in some sort of direction instead of just continuously looking back and saying, hey, this is why we are where we are now. Because I get it. Again, it's complex, it's convoluted, it's flawed.
It is.
It didn't work out necessarily the way we wanted it to.
So is
but
that
I'm
a
not
way
gonna,
that keeps us looking back by doing little things like removing the fucking statue of King from the Oval Office that ain't none of you niggas ever been in and ain't never going in?
Yeah, I think it
and
does.
then having outrage about it. Now we're debating about civil rights. And all that
I
shit.
think it does. I think it does.
Because who really gives a fuck?
I don't
you
think,
ain't going to the Oval Office, nigga.
I mean, I don't think.
Half these niggas ain't never been to the fucking White House.
Because it's basically like him walking in his own house and like, nigga, I don't want this picture up there. No
Exactly.
more.
This is my house for the next 4 years. Get this shit out of here. Next president can put it back if you want to.